I'd not forgotten, but I met this kid 5 years ago before he got fat. When his suits fit him. You have this? No, you didn't have the same suits because you were fucking poor then, I guess. Anyway, I met you at the Four Seasons Hotel. It's a skinny black poor kid, but anyway. Now he's a fat black poor kid. What's the difference? Last night you saw what?
Fear. The signs of fear.
Everyone in this, I know we got a couple of tough guys. We even have a Medal of Valor person in the audience, but you're all got at one time in your life no balls. Most of you today. What was the takeaway from the fear?
It's contagious.
Pardon? Say that again?
It spreads.
It's contagious. That's why I don't let you talk to one another, you fucking cunts. Because you got nothing positive to say. There's a reason. You think you can, it's so fucking easy, this fucking program. God damn, I'm knocking it's dick in the dirt every fucking day. I'm just like, is that what you're going to tell each other? No. What are you going to say to each other? Nothing. But if you were allowed to talk to one another, what would you say? Well, this is a motherfucker. That's why you're not going to talk to your old lady. That's why you're not going to talk to your mom. What does your mom say to you? Turn off the... What does your mom say to you? Remember now. What does your mom say to you when she's worried about you? You told me last night.
She wanted me to sleep more.
Sleep more. Yeah. Okay. And what did you tell her?
If you don't stop to say it, I will send you back to Puerto Rico.
Okay. And that's what happens. That's what happens. Because it's sheer doubts. Okay, what else about fear? Other than it's contagious and we all...
Small amygdalas.
Pardon?
You've got small amygdalas.
The fight portion of your brain. Now, if I remember correctly, the scene that you saw was a couple in the beginning and a Hispanic guy. Was it a Hispanic guy? A black guy. Now, that's not how I would have handled that situation myself. If I had been with that girl, I would have hit that motherfucking black dude so fucking hard, I would have knocked him into next week. Somebody said about...
was the Mexican and the black guy and the white guy.
Okay. But that's how you do it, when you're shoving like in the schoolyard. But that's why I got in so much trouble growing up.
Easy to spread.
Boy, isn't it ever. Yes, Bradley.
When they were looking at the shocks in the blue square, even when the square stopped shocking her, she still reacted like it shocked her. And the point is, you learn the fear and the bullshit, and you react like it's real, it's not.
And it's, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're afraid of picking up the phone, you're afraid of picking up the phone until you pick up the phone to make a cold call or to make an appointment to call somebody. I remember at my 50-year high school reunion, there were a lot of girls that I'd gone out with in high school. And I remember the first date I ever went on, legitimate date, I practiced before I asked her out. And then I saw her at the 50-year reunion, and I thought to myself, what the fuck? What did I have to practice that? Ask that old hag out for? Fuck. But I had practiced. Now, the first date I went out when I was about, they can call it a day, maybe I was 13 or 14. That same time frame when the lion was crawling on me and my dad was trying to be a father, take me to father-son picnics. The girl, who I've known since 1956, we had a party at my house might have been my 13th birthday. And I took her around, and I'm 13. I took her around the corner, and I threw her up against the wall, and I kissed her, and I put my legs between her legs. I'm 13. And when we were, when we're in our 40s and 50s, she says, "You remember that?" I say, "I remember it. I remember it. You were aggressive little fucker, weren't you?" Yeah, but I've always been. Somebody asked me, have I always had high self-esteem? I went from being a mama's boy. My mother used to hold my hand, in the markets. And do parents still hold the kids' hands? Yeah. When they're 12 and 13, no. And so, and when my father said, "Stay still," I didn't move. I wouldn't even think of moving. He said, "Stay right fucking here, I'll be back." If the world ended, apocalypse, I wouldn't move from that fucking spot. And now you see kids sass their parents, talk back, bullshit, That wouldn't have happened. So I went from a mama's boy, and then seeing my dad, and then doing some of the things that I did, crawl around with a lion like I did. And then all of a sudden, when I got into the transformation of my self-esteem happened about when I went from junior high school to high school. I grew 7 inches over one summer. And it was like a butterfly coming out of a cocoon. And I've had it ever since. I don't know if it was the growing 7 inches. I also lost 40 pounds over one summer. I was a short little fat kid like some of you in here. And the rest, I had to have my accomplishments catch up with my big mouth, as that Dr. Teeter said many years later. But we didn't think about it as self-esteem. We didn't think about, those were words that were foreign to me and to anybody that I was in my neighborhood. They were foreign. What else about fear? Yes, sir.
You can break it down just by repeating the process, just working through it. Do it again and again and again. Eventually, you get new memories,
And so, what do I say about building the dream team? And then after the dream team, you're a better speaker, you're a better communicator because you're now talking to accounting firms. And after the accounting firms, you're then talking to lawyers are harder than the accountants, so you're doing the lawyers after the accountants. And by that time, your communication skills are better and better and better. And now you're talking to financial institutions, and you're asking them, are you in the lending mode, does healthcare, does security, this, that, and the other thing. And then you get to the sellers, the motivated sellers. So it's a building process. As I said last night, we have at least one gentleman here who has followed the program, right? Had the book, and you bought a company, right? Before you got here, for a few $100,000. And last night, when we were on our one-on-one time, we have now found a couple of programs that actually work. Remember I told you we were 19 for 13 or 12 or whatever? We got a couple. His works and yours works. And he hadn't been here. He watched the YouTubes and just followed with the steps in the book, right? Right. But when you get now, even though you heard that, that's him and not you. And you're going to come up with all kind of reasons why this pendejo is able to do it and you're not. I can write the reasons down for you right now. At least 100 of them. For the kids, he looks older. He's more mature. He's in the security business. He's seen combat. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on. Fuck. Oh, well, fuck. Well, then why should I even do it then? And that's what happens vis-a-vis fear and why it's contagious. Because even if you were allowed to talk to him and he was successful, you will differentiate why he was able to do it and you, in your mind, aren't able to do it, and you're going to come up with all kinds of reasons. See, if I really believe that you will just pass along positive experiences, then it's a good idea to talk. But after 24 years of doing this, I know that that's not the case. It just won't happen. Because success is more scary than failure. The people on YouTube and most of the people that come here to me are used to failing. But they're used to failing mostly because they don't try. Not because they try and fail, or maybe their father tried and failed, and so that's your role model. Or maybe you've got an older brother that tried and failed, and that's your role model. Or you know somebody, but not necessarily because you've experienced it. And some of you have experienced failure already. You've tried something and it didn't work. But unless you keep swinging at the plate or on the crease in cricket terms, I mean, nobody kicks a goal into the net unless you kick at it. Although there are some, you see some funny stories where they rolls in by accident, but I mean, for the most part, you got to boot the fucking ball in. You got to boot the ball in. What else about fear?
It triggers a systemic response, meaning physically, psychologically, collectively, systemic.
Mm-hmm. And that goes back to when we were cave people, but flight or fight. And now we are used to the flight mode because very few people ever go into the fight mode. But I mean, 100,000 years ago, you didn't even think about, you sized it up. If it was a big T-Rex, well, fuck, we better run around. But I mean, if it's just another cave guy, you hit him in the head with your club or whatever. But now it's even politically not correct to fight. And yeah.
The rat froze when they exposed the rat to something that's fearful. Then they put some drug in the rat, and then it didn't. So that was interesting to me because it was like we can stop fear if we put in some other programs.
That's the kind of psychologist Sally is. She's a rat shrink. That's what she's. She explains it better than that, but that's not with people. That's why I used to say she used to be so charming 20 plus years ago because she used to deal with rats. But that same theory, that same basis is what has made this program so successful. And I'm not, and we've had a lot of smart people come through here and we have a lot of stupid people come through here. And I'm not interested in your opinion, I'm just not. Because I know what works and what doesn't. I know what works. And when you're going through your weekly reports, and you remember I said you're going to have to give me 3 alternatives. You have a question, give me 3. And then you're going to have to pick one of the 3 that you think is the right one. And I can tell you right now, I don't even have to see the question. The one that you feel the least comfortable is the right answer. Sometimes it's a combination of the 2 least comfortable, but it's not the easiest one. And yet, when I get the reports, you'll pick the wussy one. It's just like the people that keep taking the success test and never improve their score. That's unbelievable to me that you could take that fucking test 200 times, and we have people that have taken it in excess of 200 times, and get the same fucking score. Because the default is so strong. It's so strong. And the older you are, the stronger the default. The older you are, the stronger the default. But when you were telling me about your mom and you're going to send her back if she didn't stop bothering you about getting more sleep, and it's not easy to tell your mom, especially in a Latino type family. I mean, it's almost unheard of, really. You're going to go back to Puerto Rico if you don't get off my back. And for those of you that, that have strong bonding between you and your mothers. Some of you are already uncomfortable about it. And you should be. But that doesn't mean you can't do it. That doesn't mean you can't do it. And it's funny, when he was a skinny black man 5 years ago, I went back, I take notes after all those conversations. I went back and checked my notes from what we talked about. He's not the same person. He's got different fears now than you had back 5 years ago, 2012. Because he's had a little bit of success. He's a man of property now. Aren't you? You have property. And when I told him what I would do if I were him, I mean, your black eyes roll back white in your head. Because that's not his comfort zone now. Because he's got some shit now. And remember I told you sit on your assets, and there's a big difference between playing to win and playing not to lose? Well, now he's got something to lose. And he's not willing to give that up.
What if you're contractually obligated?
Don't give me... I'm not interested in your excuses.
Okay.
We both know what you said.
Right.
Okay? You could walk away from that property just like you took a piss this morning. But now there's a big difference between playing to win and playing not to lose. And now he's got something to lose. There's a reason why we go through these steps. And there's a reason why, for some of you that got it the first day or the first hour or blah, 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 there's a reason, because we move on when everybody's got it. And everybody still doesn't have it. And it's like, the gal, the old hag back there, she was standing there and she's asking, she was leaning kind of up against that pole there and asking if I'm going to give you the instructions or the whatever to how to do it. And I've said it 10 times already. And she's educated. And she went to good schools. And but she still asks the same question because that's, she needs that confirmation. She needs more validation. And you all do. You all do. Some need less. But everybody needs some. Everybody needs some. Even the guy that has done the deal, following the steps, has big aspirations. Needs some validation about this. Right now he's rebranding all this stuff. And that's costing him. And it always costs him more. And it always takes longer. And he's having to rebrand. And he bought the assets, right? He bought the assets. He's shaking his head, yes. He bought the assets, just like it says, instead of and he followed the steps, and there are a number of people that have made it work before they got here. But most of the people, as I've said many, many times, 99.99% of the people I've never met, and they've made it work. And some of the YouTube comments because now the seminar has been posted the first couple of days or half of yesterday, so it's been through, lunchtime of yesterday, it's posted now on YouTube, and of course the pundits have got their smart-ass remarks, even vis-a-vis what you guys look like, and tell the bald guy to put some powder on his head because it blinds the camera and all kind of shit. Okay, YouTube, we'll talk to you later.